Also, in this series of videos, I'd like to show you if you've got some effects purchased from Allen and Heath. That link again, you go into the Allen and Heath website, and these plugins are available as additions to the console. I want to show you how you would insert one of those onto a channel. So when it comes to the preamp emulation, that's done on processing. You select a channel, then you go to the top block, press library, that brings that preamp model up. When it comes to the rest of the plugins that you can get from Allen and Heath, you get them in this effects area and you load them into an effects engine. So you go library and then choose something. I can't recall what I've installed on this desk, so I'll just have to have a quick look now. Have I got the de-esser, for example? Recall? No. Have I got any of them? Dynamic EQ? Recall? No. Multiband 4. Yeah, okay, so I've got that one. So it's a multiband compressor. I'm going to do the demonstration in a moment on the multiband compressor from Waves C1. So this isn't a comparison of what this multiband compressor does relative in terms of sonics relative to the one from Waves. Just purely a demonstration of how to insert an effect. And this doesn't have to be one of the additional plug-in packs from Allen and Heath. It could just be any effect. So when you get the console, you get the first you get the first items in this library anyway already installed on the console. So modulators, gated reverb, modulators and gated reverb. And I wonder where the rest went. You've got to scroll up. So you get these. You get 1, 2, 3. Get those first 4 options already on the console. The ones below that are the additional ones you have to purchase separately from Allen and Heath. And the same, what I'm about to demonstrate is true in terms of inserting one of these on a channel or a group, regardless of whether you've purchased it separately. So how to do this, you would select a channel on the console. Let's just use this bass channel that we've already got. And then you go to the back panel, and to set it up as either an insert or mix return. So insert, the key thing to an insert is the signal goes in and comes out to the same destination. So it comes out of the bass channel and then goes back onto the bass channel. If you look at the processing tab and the channel strip, it shows you where the insert point is as well, relative in the signal flow. So input number 10. Hit apply. This is the signal from the bass. On and off switch. Quite nice to have the dry and the wet option for this as well. It's got a parametric EQ also. But essentially, that's the routing. That's now inserted on the bass channel. If we go back to the bass, we can see there that we've got an insert, and it's effects unit 5. You can switch it on and off from there as well. And you get this active light to show that that is inserted. That's running. And then we go to effects, and then we go to the front panel, and then to make adjustments, we using touch and turn most likely. You might want to look at doing some mapping though. Over here we have assignable encoders, which can be used to map certain functions onto. So also it's possible to have some third-party processing running through this SQ console. In this example, we'll show that third-party processing from Waves. This is Waves Impact Server. Check back to class notes and class video in terms of how to hook the Impact server up with this console. It involves a switch, a card in the back of the SQ console, a Waves card, and also multi-rack sound grid software on a Mac or Windows, which is also connected to the switch. Those class notes, the class video is online on Google Drive. Okay, so the hookup for this is If you, for example, wanted to insert a multiband compressor from Waves, let's say, for example, C4, which is quite popularly used, then you would select a channel, let's say lead vocal channel. This is already inserted from the demonstration that I've done before, but let me start over. So I'm going to switch it off first of all and approach this like there was nothing assigned. We are going to do it as an insert in just like manner to the insert for the bass. So the only difference is when we did the bass, we did it from the effects, the multiband compressor on the bass. We did it from the effects page. We went to the back panel and then we selected it was an insert, and it was an insert on input 10. And we clicked apply. Now, because the Waves plugins do not appear on this page, what you need to do is on processing, and we've selected channel, it's the lead vocal channel. You can also select channels by looking at the channel overview and then going into a block. Go to insert, and actually on this insert point you can do inserts from effects that are living on the desk. For example, you go to the effects unit and then I could pull up the same multiband processor from Allen and Heath, albeit it's going to not be inserted on channel 10, the bass, anymore. It would just be inserted on this channel. Instead, I'm going to use a multiband compressor from Waves. So I go to I/O port because it's the Waves card in the I/O port. I happen to know already that the channel in Waves is channel 14. I'll show you where that is in a second on multi-rack. And it's an insert, so it wants to come back to the same place that the signal got picked off on, which is why this is also a good general demonstration of what an insert is on a digital desk. I will also put a link on the screen now to show a URL to another video that I've done about inserts and how they look on an analog console for live as well. Click apply. Digital level, because when we look at the level incoming into multi-rack, some of the plugins do show emulation of analog metering, but a lot of them show digital metering. Therefore, if you go operating level digital, that would be the most sensible choice for this setup, because this is outboard, but it's digital outboard. And then we've got this on-off switch, it's switched on, we get this light. Now, let's take a look at SoundGrid. Again, check your class notes and the footage from the class, which is online on Google Drive, in terms of the basics of the setup to multi-track SoundGrid. We covered that in class. But here's an additional chance to listen in reasonable definition to this processor, relevant to the track, the session from Scuttlers, which has a vocal that is somewhat the moving target in terms of tonality because of differences in distance away from the microphone, proximity effect, which is something I know you discuss in other classes as well. And it's a hypercardioid mic in question. If I actually now fade, I'm going to bypass any processing. I'm going to send you this signal drive first of all, so you get a sense of why this needs some processing attention. My mind's my mind's my mind's my mind's So, he's moving his head in a hypercardioid mic. This is a bit of a challenge for us. So, multiband compression, as I mentioned in class, these are some additional tools that you can consider for live sound. You need to have a good reason to use them, though, as opposed to what's already available on the desk. Don't just use them because they're there and because they look good. Use them for very specific reasons. Now, my interest in processing this with a multiband compressor is purely that I want to calm the level, attenuate the level of part of what I'm hearing, but not all of what I'm hearing. So I want to be able to target compression at a band, a tonal band, as opposed to broadband compress the whole thing. I will also use some broadband compression to smoothen my overall result out, but it's when he moves slightly off axis that the tonality changes. And it's actually the mid-range that appears to get louder, and the high frequencies drop off, because high frequencies drop off quickest as you move your head off axis from this kind of microphone. So what I'll do next is I'll bring up multi-rack, and I will bring it into play this C4. And as mentioned in class, deal number one with your multiband compressor is only use what you need. Don't need to use all the 4 bands, and be targeted first about where you want the band start and stop markers. There is a crossover region into the next band, of course. It's not an instant stop. But where do you want the centre of the handover between the bands? And in this case, I'm going to target the mid-range, which there is a lot of. There's a lot of level in the mid-range at the point where he goes off axis relative to the higher frequencies. There's less higher frequencies when he goes off axis, and the yin-yang of things means that there seems to be more mid going on at that point. And I want to, at that point, ask that to attenuate automatically, so that if he moves off axis again, I will have a smoother tonal response. So I'm just going to solo these up. By pressing solo, you can move the bands around by grabbing here and moving that. And I'm going to target where the core of the energy is when he moves off axis, and then have that in a band. And then the other band, the higher band, will be that for the higher frequencies. I will do most of my gain reduction on the mid band in this case. So I'll go mics down. My mind's real, my mind's real, yeah, yeah. 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 My mind's real, my mind's real. So I'll tell you exactly what I'm listening for. I'm aware that there's too much level on a particular note at a particular time when he moves his head off axis. The concentration of the energy that doesn't sit well with me, I find it excessive, there's just too much of it, is in the band here. Notice I'm not being especially precise, I'm saying it's somewhere there. When I'm listening to that moment where he goes off axis and have this band soloed up, I notice more level difference at that point i.e. I feel tempted to do more gain reduction to increase the average energy, reduce the peak, when I'm soloed up on that band, and less like I need to do gain reduction when I'm soloed up on this higher band. The higher band seems more consistent already. It's the mid band that to me stands out as more variable in level. I'm not trying to kill all dynamics here, by the way, folks. Dynamics where appropriate, but where I can save people's ears on loud PA systems, I don't need unnecessary level boost right there. I'm going to try and reduce the moving target, which is the vocal that changes in level in particular tonal bandwidths as he moves around. So I want to smoothen out the sound, make the sound more consistent throughout. Okay, so these bypass buttons can come out. What we've got going on here from top to bottom, we've got a makeup gain. If I'm doing some gain reduction, I might apply some makeup gain to bring that level back up for the amount that I'm reducing it. But also, you can use this to spectrally rebalance the channel as well. So it is an EQ. There are other options, other approaches to this would include a dynamic EQ, perhaps one for a future video. This is a multiband compressor. But they can sometimes be used to approach similar problems. Sometimes you'll find one way works a little bit better than another way. We have a range control, which is the amount of gain reduction which is permitted. Attack and release settings. And then this is the threshold. I did a little bit of setting up before I started rolling the cameras, so you didn't have to sit and watch the back of my head for 5 minutes. So I'm going to bring this into circuit. I'll also bring out the H-comp. I'll show you the H-comp as well in action. There's quite a lot of broadband gain reduction going on as well. But my question to you as you listen to this is, have I smoothened out somewhat the level across the key bandwidths of this vocal?